The hooded beggar in the alley. The rain fell hard on the metal streets of Orion's spine, a massive trade station floating in deep space. Lights flickered in the dark alleys, and the smell of oil, trash, and smoke filled the air. Ships came and went, merchants shouted, and smugglers moved in the shadows. But no one looked at the dirty figure sitting alone in the corner near the waste bins. She wore a long, brown hooded cloak, so big it almost dragged on the ground. Her hands were thin, shaking as she dug through the garbage. She pulled out a half-eaten fruit, smelled it, and quickly ate it. Most people walked past her. Some called her filth or disease. A few threw things at her. No one helped, except one. Jace Thorne, a human mechanic, had just finished his work fixing a broken hauler ship. He always took the shortcut through the lower alley. Today, something made him stop. He saw her. The girl under the hood didn't notice him at first. She was focused on scraping something edible off a piece of packaging. Jace's voice was calm. "Hey, are you okay?" She flinched. Her head turned a little, but her face stayed hidden. No answer. He took a step closer. "I'm not gonna hurt you. You look like you haven't eaten in days." Still no answer. Jace looked around. No patrols. Nearby. He reached into his coat and pulled out a wrapped protein bar, military grade. "Here, take this." The girl froze. Then slowly, carefully, she took it from his hand. Her fingers were cold. She tore the wrapper and began to eat fast, like someone who didn't know when their next meal would come. "What's your name?" he asked softly. No reply. "All right, don't want to talk." "That's okay." He watched her for a moment. Then he noticed her wrists, thin, scarred, but there was something more. A strange burned mark on her skin partly covered by dirt. It looked like a crest or a royal symbol, but old, faded. Maybe it was just a scar. Or maybe not. Suddenly she coughed and almost fell over. Jace rushed forward, catching her before she hit the ground. Her body was burning with fever. Up close, he noticed something even more strange. Her skin had a faint glow beneath the grime. Her eyes, half open, glowed dim blue. She wasn't just any alien. "Damn, what the hell are you?" Jace whispered. She passed out. Jace looked around. People had started to notice. A group of aliens whispered nearby. Someone pulled out a communicator. "I have to get her out of here," Jace said to himself. He picked her up in his arms. She was light, too light for her height. As he lifted her, her hood fell back just a little. He gasped, under the dirt and matted hair. Her face was young, beautiful. But there was something else. A strange elegance. Even in her worst state, she looked like someone born to rule. But her face also held fear. And secrets. Jace didn't waste time. He ran back through the alley, carrying her through side paths until he reached his small living unit near Dock 17. He locked the door, lowered the blinds, and placed her on the old couch. She didn't move. He got a med kit, cleaned her wounds, and gave her clean water. She woke up briefly, looking around with panic in her glowing eyes. "Easy. You're safe now," he said gently. She blinked, then fainted again. Jace sat back, breathing heavily. Who was she? Why did she have that mark on her wrist, and why did her skin glow? He didn't have the answers, but he had a feeling. This wasn't just a poor beggar. Something about her. It felt like trouble. Big trouble. He looked down at her again. Under the light of the room, her hood had fallen off completely. And Jace could now see what no one else had seen. She was Zarathi, an alien species thought to be extinct. And the mark on her wrist? It wasn't random. It was the crest of the lost royal house of Zirath. When she opened her eyes again, she wasn't in the alley. The soft hum of machines, the smell of oil, and the dim light of a small mechanic's room filled her senses. She tried to sit up, but her body was weak. A soft blanket covered her. Her hood was gone. Her glowing blue eyes looked around in confusion. In the corner, Jace Thorne sat on a metal chair watching her. His face was calm, but alert. "You're awake," he said gently. "Took you long enough." She didn't speak. "You were almost dead out there," he continued. "You need food, rest, and answers." She pulled the blanket up to cover herself, trying to hide. But Jace had already seen everything, especially the mark on her wrist. He stood up slowly and picked up a datapad from the table. He turned it toward her and showed her the screen. It displayed a symbol, the royal crest of the Zarathi Empire. The same crest burned into her skin. Jace's voice became serious. "This mark, I looked it up. It hasn't been seen in over 10 years. The last time anyone saw it, your entire planet was burning." She didn't reply. "I need to know," Jace said firmly. "Who are you?" Her lips trembled. Then, for the first time, she spoke. Her voice was soft, like wind in a tunnel. "I am Soraya." Jace blinked. "Soraya? As in Princess Soraya of Zerath?" She nodded once. "But you died. That's what every record says." "I didn't die," she whispered. "I ran. 10 years ago, the Zarathi Empire fell in one night. Rebels, soldiers, and traitors stormed the palace. Her family, the Emperor, the Queen, and her 2 brothers were killed. She was only 12 when she escaped through the sewer tunnels under the palace, guided by an old servant who gave his life for her. For years, she hid. On distant moons, on garbage ships, on slave worlds. She never stayed in one place for too long, but now she was tired of running." Jace listened without interrupting. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair. "If anyone finds out you're alive, they'll come for you." "I know," she said. "They already are." Outside Jace's door, a small flying drone beeped softly and zoomed away. It had scanned her face through the broken window. Jace stood up. "All right, you can stay here, but you have to stay hidden." She looked at him carefully. "Why are you helping me?" Jace shrugged. "You looked like you needed it." "No one helps me." "Well," he said, "I'm not no one." She stared at him, her expression unreadable. Jace walked to the other room. He didn't notice her fingers twitching with light, as if something inside her was waking up, something powerful, something she couldn't control. Hours passed. Soraya sat alone, her eyes closed, her breath slowed. In her mind, she saw fire. Screams, the palace burning, her mother's voice, "Run, child, never stop running." But now she was tired of hiding, tired of being nothing. She opened her eyes. The walls were shaking. Suddenly, the front door exploded. 3 armored bounty hunters stormed inside, weapons raised. "Human, step away from the girl." Jace jumped up, shocked. "What the hell?" They grabbed him, threw him to the ground. Soraya froze. Her heart raced. They had found her. One hunter stepped forward. "Target confirmed. Zarathi female, royal class, high reward." He raised his blaster. But before he could fire, Soraya stood up. Her body began to glow, her scars lit like fire. The air burned, the lights flickered. The bounty hunters stepped back in fear. What is she?" Jace looked up from the floor. "Soraya." Her voice was no longer soft. It echoed like thunder. "You should not have come here." The bounty hunter screamed. The air inside Jace's small room turned white hot as Soraya's body lit up like a star. One hunter tried to fire, but the blaster melted in his hands. Another stumbled backward, crashing into the wall. The third aimed for her head, but Soraya raised one hand. The blaster froze midair. Her eyes were pure fire now. Zarathi flame. Once thought lost with her royal bloodline. She didn't say a word. With a flick of her wrist, the lights burst and the hunters dropped to the floor, groaning, their weapons fried. Then the glow faded. Her knees gave out. Jace ran to catch her before she hit the ground. Soraya. She was breathing hard. Her hands shook. Her eyes returned to normal, but her body felt weak. "I told you," she whispered, barely able to speak. "They're hunting me." Jace tied up the hunters with power cables. "Who sent you?" One of them laughed even through broken teeth. Everyone wants her. That symbol on her skin? It's worth more than your whole station. Turn her in. Be rich. Or die with her. Jace punched him once, hard. He stood up, breathing fast. He looked at Soraya, this strange girl with glowing blood and the power to melt metal. She was more than royalty. She was dangerous. But he couldn't just give her away. Later, in the back of the station's old scrapyard, Jace sat beside Soraya. She sipped warm broth slowly. Wrapped in one of his old jackets, she finally spoke. They've raised the bounty again, haven't they? Jace nodded. He had seen it an hour ago on the public network. Wanted, Princess Soraya of Xerath. Alive, 20 million credits. Dead, 5 million, and her human accomplice, Jace Thorne, 10 million credits. He couldn't believe it. Just yesterday, he was fixing broken engines. Now, he was a wanted man. I've seen a lot of things, Jace muttered, but I never thought helping a girl would make me galactic enemy #1. She looked down. I didn't ask for help. No, he said, but I gave it anyway. Suddenly, the old comm device in the corner beeped. An encrypted message appeared. From Rexa. Rexa? Jace whispered. My old squad mate. He opened the call. A woman with scars across her cheek and a cybernetic eye looked at him through the screen. Jace. You're in trouble, she said. Your name's flashing across every bounty board from here to the Black Nebula. I know, he answered. I can help. Meet me on Moon Saren 4. I have contacts. Get her off-world. Before the call ended, she glanced at Soraya. Her face changed. You really don't know who you're protecting, do you? The screen went dark. Hours later, Jace prepared his ship. The Rust Claw. Small, fast, half-broken, but it could fly. Soraya watched quietly. Do you trust her? She asked. Rexa? Jace nodded. We fought in the Dust Wars together. She saved my life twice. Soraya said nothing, but her eyes didn't look sure. As the ship roared to life, Soraya held her bracelet. Inside it, a tiny memory chip blinked. She hadn't told Jace yet, but the chip contained something dangerous. A message from her mother, the late Queen. Soraya had never opened it. She was afraid of what it might say. They launched into space, breaking free from the station, but not before being seen. In a dark room, a shadowy figure watched a live feed. Princess Soraya is alive, the voice said. And she's with a human, said another. The figure stood. It was a man in black armor, tall, cold-eyed, a scar across his face and a ring bearing the same royal crest as Soraya, but upside down. General Varen, the man who led the rebellion 10 years ago, the one who murdered her family. Send ships, he said. I want her brought to me. He stared at the screen where Soraya sat beside Jace, unaware of what was coming. She will not escape again. The stars stretched like silver threads as the Rust Claw flew through space. Inside the cockpit, Jace kept one eye on the radar. Nothing yet, but he knew it wouldn't last. Every bounty hunter in the quadrant was likely already on their trail. Behind him, Soraya sat silent, her hood pulled low again, not to hide, but to think. Her fingers rubbed the edge of her bracelet over and over. The memory chip inside had started blinking. It was time. Jace noticed. What's that blinking for? She looked up slowly. It's a message. From my mother. The Queen? She nodded. Jace tilted his head. You've had it this whole time? I couldn't open it before. I was too scared. He turned the ship to autopilot and sat next to her. You're not that scared little girl anymore. Soraya took a deep breath and placed the bracelet into the ship's console. The hologram flickered to life. A soft voice, regal and kind, filled the ship. Soraya, if you are seeing this, it means I am gone. But you are not alone. The flame is still in you. It will awaken fully one day. You must go to Ashkar's cradle. There, our people's power was born. And there, you must face the trial. Only then can the Empress rise. The message faded. Jace frowned. Ashkar's cradle? That's a forbidden planet covered in storms. Even warships don't go near it. But Soraya stood tall now. That's where I must go. 3 hours later, their ship broke through lightning storms above Ashkar's cradle. A violent world with red skies and burning winds. The ship barely made it. As they landed, fire danced across the clouds. Volcanoes rumbled in the distance. But in the center of the ruined land stood a giant black tower made of stone. Half broken, half alive with glowing symbols. Soraya stepped onto the ground. The air was hot, thick with ancient energy. This is where it began, she whispered. This is where my people first touched the stars. Inside the tower was a large chamber, silent and dark. Strange writing on the walls, carvings of old Zarathi emperors. At the center, a giant circular platform carved from glowing black stone. Soraya stepped onto it. Suddenly, the doors slammed shut. "Soraya?" Jay shouted, running toward her, but a force threw him back. Soraya was trapped, inside, alone. Then, the voice came. Not her mother's, not human. Something older. You carry the flame, but can you command it? You were born royal, but are you worthy to rule? Then burn, or be burned. Flames erupted around her. Outside, Jace watched helplessly through the glass. Soraya screamed. Her body was engulfed in fire. Not normal fire, but blue and white flame. The sacred Zarathi fire. It danced across her skin, her eyes, her soul. She fell to her knees. Memories poured in. Her family's death, her people screaming, her running alone across the stars. The fire pushed her to her limits, but she didn't run. She stood. I am Soraya. Of Zerath, she shouted. I carry the flame not to destroy but to protect. The fire pulsed once, then bent to her will. The platform rose. The carvings on the walls glowed. From above, a crown of flame descended and rested on her head, but it didn't burn her. She glowed with new light. The doors burst open. Jace rushed in, eyes wide. Soraya stood in the center of the platform, glowing, alive, transformed. Soraya, are you okay? She turned, smiling faintly. I am now. Jace exhaled. Remind me not to make you mad. But peace didn't last long. Outside the tower, shadows moved. Black ships descended from the sky. General, Varen had arrived with 10 bounty ships and a full team of elite hunters. They had tracked the Rustclaw's flight path, and now they had her cornered. Inside the tower, alarms screamed. Jace looked at the radar. We've got company. A lot of it. Soraya didn't look afraid. She looked ready. As the hunters moved in, surrounding the tower, Varen stepped forward. His voice echoed across the rocks. Soraya, you are not a queen, you are a mistake. Jace aimed his blaster. Yeah? Then why bring a whole army just to stop one mistake? The ground shook. Soraya stepped out from the tower. The sky responded. Flames burst from the air, forming wings behind her. She raised her hand, and the sky exploded. Dozens of ships were torn apart by blue fire. The bounty hunters scattered in fear. Jace watched with awe. She wasn't just a girl anymore. She was the Flame Empress. But Varen did not run. He raised his sword and charged. Soraya flew straight at him. They clashed. In the middle of the burning sky, fire against darkness, light against shadows. The galaxy would never forget this day. The sky over Ashkar's cradle was still glowing blue from the firestorm Soraya had unleashed. Black ships lay burning in the dust. The bounty hunters who survived ran, dropped weapons, and vanished into the hills. Only one ship escaped, General. Varen's Soraya stood in the wind, her cloak torn, her eyes glowing faintly. Jace stared at her from the edge of the stone tower. His heart pounded, but not from fear, from awe. She didn't just survive the trial. She passed it. She became something more. Hours later, aboard the Rustclaw, Jace tried to repair the burnt systems. I don't get it, he muttered, tapping on the console. How did Varen escape? That coward should have been vaporized. Soraya sat in the co-pilot seat, still quiet. Her fire had dimmed now, but she felt different, stronger, and heavier inside. He didn't run, she said softly. He let me win. Jace paused. Let you? He was testing me, just like the trial. Only he wants something worse, not just my death. He wants to break me. Suddenly, the ship's radar beeped. Over 40 bounty alerts appeared on screen. The price on Soraya's head had now doubled, 40 million credits alive. And a new name appeared beside hers. Jace Thorne, human terrorist, flame conspirator. 25 million alive or dead. Jace stared at the screen. Well, I guess I'm famous now. Soraya's face darkened. You're only in danger because of me. He looked at her. I made my choice. I won't let you walk this road alone. They couldn't go back to any safe planet. Every port, every trader, every smuggler was looking for them, so they drifted through the ghost routes, forgotten paths in space no one used anymore. Fuel ran low, supplies thinned, but still they kept flying. Late one night cycle, as the ship floated in the quiet dark, Soraya opened up. I remember my mother's voice now, she said. She always told me, fire without heart is only destruction. She looked at her hands, once soft, now lined with light scars. Now I know what she meant. I don't just carry power, Jace, I carry a choice. The next day, a signal came through, a voice they recognized. Rexa. Jace, I'm in trouble, she said, her face appearing on the cracked monitor. I tried to help you. I reached out to an old contact in the Senate, but someone sold me out. She looked injured. The screen blinked with static. I'm being held on Outpost 9 on the edge of the Red Drift. They want to trade me for Soraya. Hurry. The signal cut off. Jace looked at Soraya. It's a trap. I know. But we have to go. I know. They arrived at Outpost, a floating prison built on a dead asteroid. The plan was simple. Sneak in, get Rexa out, get out fast. But it didn't go that way. Because Varen was waiting. The moment they landed, alarms blared. Jace and Soraya ran through smoke-filled tunnels, blasting guards, dodging lasers. Soraya tried to hold back her power. Too much fire could destroy the whole outpost. They reached the cell. Rexa was there, beaten, barely conscious. But before Jace could open the door, it vanished. The walls behind them shimmered. A hologram. Welcome. Princess, said a voice from the speakers. It was Varen. You passed your trial. Good. Now it's my turn. Gas filled the hallway. Jace tried to cover Soraya, but the world began to spin. Darkness fell. Soraya woke in a glass cell. Alone. Outside, Varen stood with arms behind his back. Do you feel powerful now, child? He asked. You murdered my family, she said through clenched teeth. And yet, I raised you better than they ever did. She blinked in confusion. I spared you. I sent you into exile, because I knew one day you would return. And now you're here, strong, glorious, ready to burn the galaxy. I'll never be like you, she growled. He smiled coldly. You already are. Somewhere deeper in the prison, Jace awoke in chains. But his mind wasn't on escape, it was on her. The girl he once found digging through trash, now burning brighter than any star. In the cold silence of Outpost 9, Jace's breath turned to mist. His wrists were chained above his head, and every part of him ached. The lights flickered overhead. Somewhere distant, a siren buzzed low like a heartbeat waiting to stop. But Jace wasn't thinking about pain. He was thinking about her. Inside her glass prison, Soraya sat on the floor, eyes closed, hands resting on her knees. She wasn't trying to escape. She was listening. To the voices of the past, to her mother's message, to the fire inside her blood that now burned calmly, like a sun waiting to rise. General Varen stood outside the cell, arms folded, watching. You've stopped fighting, he said. Are you finally accepting the truth? Soraya didn't open her eyes. You think truth is something you own. I gave you freedom, he said, stepping closer. You were just a scared child, I spared you. And you used your gift to survive. That's what a real leader does. Soraya smiled faintly. No, that's what a coward does. Varen's face darkened. You burn worlds for power. I carry fire to protect the ones you left behind. He slammed his fist on the glass. Then burn me. Soraya opened her eyes. I will. But not with rage. In the control room above, a security officer stared at a strange symbol blinking on his screen. What? He muttered. It's the Flame Empress crest. It's activating? The prison lights flickered, then exploded. In Jace's cell, the chains snapped like dry twigs. He hit the ground hard, coughing, but grinning. Guess she's back. In a storm of light, Soraya stood up. The glass of her cell turned to ash. Flames spread in every direction but left the guards untouched. She chose not to harm them. That was her power now. Control. She walked past Varen, who stood frozen. He drew his sword. But she didn't even flinch. You've already lost, she said, and with a flash of fire she vanished in smoke. Jace ran through the metal hallways, knocking out guards and unlocking doors. Where are you? Where are you? Suddenly, a door burst open, and Soraya stepped through the smoke. They locked. Eyes, he ran to her. I knew you'd wake up. I almost didn't, she said softly. But your voice pulled me back. Jace grinned. Was it something cool I said? You said I wasn't alone. Together, they stormed the prison's launch deck. Soraya melted security systems with her fingers. Jace rerouted power to the old hangar. Explosions echoed behind them. As they boarded a stolen starship, Soraya paused at the ramp. Wait, she said. What is it? She held her bracelet to the console. A final hidden message played. 1. Never meant for public ears. Soraya, her mother's voice said. If you survive the trial, go to Cinder's Hollow. That is where the Flameborn still wait. They do not know you live, but they will follow you if you show them your heart. The ship broke out of orbit. Behind them, Outpost 9 exploded, set on fire from the inside. Not by Soraya, but by Varen's own failing systems. His empire of control was beginning to crack. Jace sat in the pilot seat. Where to now, Your Highness? She looked at him. Don't call me that. He blinked. Too formal? She smiled. I haven't earned it yet. Then, she turned toward the stars, set course for Cinder's Hollow. It's time they met their heir. Hours later, through nebula clouds and forgotten star paths, they arrived. Cinder's Hollow was hidden on a broken moon, an ancient city carved into the bones of a dying world. At the gates stood armored warriors, with glowing armor and burning spears, the Flameborn, once protectors of the Zarathi royal bloodline. They raised weapons when they saw Soraya. One of them stepped forward. The flame is gone. Your blood is a lie. Soraya removed her cloak. Fire lit the sky. She stepped forward, her voice clear, calm, powerful. My name is Soraya Valen of Zerath, daughter of Queen Elira. Last blood of the Fire Throne. I passed the trial. I carry the living flame. And I did not come to beg. She opened her hand. The fire formed the royal crest. Perfect, glowing, undeniable. I came to rise. The warriors knelt, every single one. Even the old guards wept. The heir had returned. But the war was not over. Not yet. A week later, the stars above Zerath Prime burned red. The skies were filled with warships. The air smelled like fire and metal. All across the galaxy, news spread like lightning. The Flame Empress has returned. The girl thought dead now stands, with an army. And now, she was coming home. But it wasn't the same palace. The capital was no longer a city of light. It was a fortress of fear. Walls built of black steel, guarded by machines and ruled by one man, General Varen. He sat upon the throne he stole, eyes cold, fists clenched, staring at the screen in front of him. It showed Soraya's face, proud and calm, leading a fleet of ships toward him. He whispered, "She actually did it." In the command ship of the Flameborn, Soraya stood at the front window, her long cloak glowing like embers. The fire in her blood had never felt stronger, but she wasn't angry. She was focused. Behind her stood Jace, now in black armor with her symbol on the chest. He had been a mechanic, a nobody. Now he was her shield. "You ready?" he asked. Soraya nodded. "I don't want to burn a planet, Jace. I want to free it." He gave a small smile. "That's why you'll win." The battle for Zerath Prime began. Soraya's ships clashed with Varen's iron fleet in the upper orbit. Missiles roared. Lasers ripped through space. Fighters danced and died in flame. But Soraya's flagship dove straight through the middle of it all, heading for the palace. She wasn't here to fight from the sky. She was going to face Varen face to face. The landing was brutal. Explosions rocked the earth as Soraya and her personal guard, the Flameborn, charged through the palace. Gates, Jace was at her side. He fired his plasma rifle, clearing the path. She moved like a storm, hands burning with fire, pushing back wave after wave of defenders. They reached the throne room. Its massive doors were shut, thick as starship hulls, but Soraya raised her hand, and the doors melted. Inside, Varen waited. Alone. The throne room was dark except for a firelit floor. High above, stained glass showed the old royal family, broken now, like the galaxy itself. Varen stood from the throne. He wore ancient Zerathi battle armor, once meant only for kings. "I wondered when you'd come," he said. "You wear fire, like a child wears a sword." "I wear it better than you ever could," Soraya answered. "You think fire makes you empress?" "No," she said, "but I do." And then they fought, not with blasters or words, with flame and will. Soraya's hands glowed blue and white. Varen's sword crackled with stolen power. Each strike shook the room. Marble shattered. Statues fell. The roof cracked open to the sky. Jace and the guards held off the last of the defenders outside the hall. But this fight was not theirs. Soraya screamed as her flame met Varen's blade. She wasn't just fighting a man. She was fighting everything. He stood for cruelty, silence, control, fear. Varen roared. "You could have ruled by my side. The galaxy would bow." Soraya stepped forward, face glowing like a star. "I don't want a galaxy that bows. I want one that rises." With one last blast of her flame, pure, controlled, powerful, she shattered his sword and knocked him to the floor. He gasped, defeated, eyes wide. You're just a girl." "No," she said, her fire rising behind her like wings. "I am Zerathi. I am the flame. I am their voice." And with that, the fire consumed his armor, melting it away. But she left him alive, because mercy was the final blow. The palace fell silent. The Flameborn entered. The people outside cheered. They had seen it all, broadcast to every screen in every system, a beggar girl, a hunted fugitive, a broken child, now crowned by fire. Later, standing on the highest balcony, Soraya faced the crowd. Thousands gathered, from aliens to humans, from rebels to survivors, from children who'd grown up in fear to elders who'd lived through the fall. Jace stood behind her. Soraya stepped forward, her voice calm but strong. "I was born into fire. I ran from it. I feared it. I was taught it would destroy me. But I learned something." She raised her hand. A flame rose. Soft, warm, golden. Fire is not just for war. It is for warmth. It is for light. It is for starting again. The crowd watched in silence. "I will not rule you with fear. I will stand with you in hope." And with that, the galaxy changed. That night in the royal chamber, Jace looked out at the stars. Soraya came beside him, quiet. He smiled. So, now what? She leaned against his shoulder. Now we rebuild. He chuckled. That's going to be harder than winning the war. I know, she said, but this timeline I'm not alone. The galaxy healed slowly. Zirath Prime became a symbol of unity, not fear. The Flameborn became peacekeepers, and the legend of the beggar girl who rose to the throne spread to every corner of space. No one remembered her dirt, only her fire, and the human who believed in her when she had nothing. Together, they lit a future that no war could burn away.